Let me tell you the story that there once was this game that inspired a generation, made by just a single guy with little game development experience and a small budget. One of the all-time indie greats was born. This game has interesting and unique gameplay while also having unforgettable and lovable characters. This game is... what? Undertale. No, I'm talking about the game Cave Story that came out in 2004. Hi, I'm Jackstev. I make mediocre video essays on the internet, and in today's video, I will be talking about the game Cave Story. Cave Story is a Metroidvania where you play as this robot exploring this large underground world on a floating island. This game was solely developed by Daisuke Amoya, better known as Pixel, in 2004, and is one of the first major indie games ever released. And before we get into the game itself, I just want to talk about how this game was made, because it's kind of insane. In this day and age, with games such as Undertale and Stardew Valley, making a game solo isn't completely unheard of. But Cave Story started development in 1999, when just an indie game being released at all was extremely rare. This also means that game engines as we know them today didn't really exist, or at least not for public use. This means everything in Cave Story had to be made completely from scratch. From the level editor to just showing the text had to be coded in on its own. Also, since the internet was still in its younger years and there was a lot less information online and YouTube didn't even exist yet, that means little to no tutorials online to teach you what to do if you didn't already know how to do it. Instead, Pixel was taught mostly by his college roommate. As a game developer myself, I really can't stress enough how difficult it would be to develop a game completely by yourself under these conditions. There is a reason so few indie games existed at this time, but with some hard work in a few years, Pixel would release Cave Story online as freeware, since Steam hadn't opened to the public yet and itch.io didn't exist until 2013. Yes, that means Cave Story was released entirely for free, and you could still download it for free today. And I'd really recommend that you play it after watching this video. You have no excuse, unless you don't have a computer, I guess. I'd also like to mention that if you want to support the developer, there's also a much more polished version of the game on Steam that I'd recommend you play. But in this video, I will be covering the original version released in 2004. The game starts with this little robot guy waking up in this dark cave. We quickly get armed before heading to a village of little rabbit creatures called Mimiga. We meet this guy called King, and apparently he's looking for this other Mimiga named Sue, who's apparently been causing problems. We also meet this young Mimiga named Toriko, right before she gets kidnapped by some minions of someone known as the Doctor. The Doctor has been causing all kinds of problems to the village by killing and kidnapping various Mimiga, and now they've kidnapped Toriko. However, they were actually trying to capture Sue, who I mentioned earlier. Now, our goal is to go and save Toriko and beat the Doctor. Cave Story's gameplay is very simple yet very fun. You have health and a level bar, and when you kill enemies, they drop these little yellow triangles to level up the weapon you are currently using. Obviously, the higher the level, the stronger the weapon becomes, but if you get hit, then your level goes back down. This means things can go wrong hilariously quickly. You can go from blasting everything in your path without issue to trying to make your way back to a healing point with your little pea shooter, all in the matter of like 10 seconds if you aren't being careful. It's really fun. There is also a large variety of weapons that you get throughout the game. There's the starter gun you get, a rocket launcher with limited ammo but high damage, but my favorite is this fireball gun that shoots bullets out that kind of roll along the ground and melt through everything in your path. Super satisfying. There's also a good amount of good enemy design, with every enemy feeling unique, especially once you start putting them together. I think my favorite enemy is called the Manon. I'm definitely pronouncing that wrong, and they are found pretty early in the game. They stay in one position, but they fire a fast-moving projectile if you shoot them. This makes it difficult when you're by a bunch of other enemies, so you can either be careful and shoot around them, or just let loose and watch the chaos unfold. The bosses here are great too. They all feel special and memorable. I also really appreciate the way this game teaches you its central mechanics without the use of text. Take this first area for example, where you don't have a gun yet, so you have to go down, avoid some basic enemies and spikes until you get your first weapon. Then you could blast through those enemies, go back and blast down some blocks you previously couldn't go past. In this section, you are subtly taught how to move, use your weapon, the level system, and much more. Overall, the gameplay is really stellar. The one problem I have is that the player movement felt really slippery and the jump felt kind of floaty in my opinion. For the most part it's fine, but sometimes you have to do really precise platforming and it gets frustrating. But most of the time that's optional and I might just be bad at 2D platformers. Can I also just say the world and atmosphere here feel amazing. With sprites this small and a choice for a limited palette, it's very impressive what Pixel has done to make this world feel special. It both captures that same vibe of an old Super Nintendo game while also having the same beautiful environments. All of these areas feel amazing and unique. It's awesome. All with the soundtrack that was written by Pixel, of course, which is really impressive because of how little music knowledge he had until making the game. On our journey, we get to meet many different characters and they are all lovable and memorable. Of course, there are the Mimigas I mentioned earlier, but we also get to meet Sue, who also wants to save Toriko as much as we do, and plans to try to escape the island the game takes place on. We meet Carly, who like the main character is a robot from the surface, who we befriend in the third area of the game. And of course, we have Balrog, who is a reoccurring mini-boss character who's kind of a comic relief. His design was based off of bar of soap, by the way. There are, of course, many more memorable characters, as well as an incredibly interesting story to go with it. The first half is pretty straightforward, but by the second half, it gets a lot darker in tone, with several character deaths and darker themes. I would like to go into more detail with the story, considering how much I love to talk about plot, but I think I've spoiled the game enough already. If you want to know more, then once again, the game is free. Go play it! But what I find far more important than the story inside of the game is the story outside of it. A story of a guy who just really wanted to make his passion project, even against the difficulties he was faced with. This game paved the way for more indie games to come by showing that it is possible to make a game with little experience and resources. It goes without saying that Cave Story and its developer inspired countless game developers to follow their dreams, including one certain Toby Fox, and it's still inspiring more to this day. What Cave Story says is that anyone can make a game, including you. No, especially you. If you've had that idea to make a video game you've always wanted to make, then you should let this game and its story inspire you. Please, as many good indie games as there are, the world can always use another. Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end of the video. I really appreciate it. I'm a bit of a smaller channel at the moment, so if you subscribed, liked, or just shared this video to a friend who you think would enjoy it, just know it really helps me out. With that out of the way, thanks again, and I hope you have a wonderful day.